of my grandmother's house, Pearl and Francis Henry's house, and Scotchy's house, taken on State Street in the 1920s. The one on the right is my grandmother's house with two big birch trees in the front yard. Now she moved into there, she bought the house off to O'Neill's and moved in there, and she died in this home. My father was raised in this home. Next door, to the left, the house in the center, is the house that I lived in until I was 2 years of age, and then we moved out into the country. And then Pearl and Francis Henry moved in, Scotchy's mother and father. And they lived there until they both passed on. And the third house is the one that Scotchy lives in now. Scotchy and Jane Henry live in this house. And their children were born and raised there, and they still reside there. So this is my grandmother's house. It's 64 State Street. The next house is 66, and the other would be 68. This is on State Street in Manchester. This is a picture of Pearl Eddinger. This is Scotchy's Fran Eileen's mother. This is when she was young, single. And I'm not sure where it was taken, but this is a picture of my Aunt Pearl, Scotchy's mother, when she was young. Of Pearl Eddinger, when she was a little older. And of course this is Scotchy's mother. I don't know where it was taken. This, at the time, was Pearl Eddinger, my aunt. Of Scotchy's father when he was still single. It looks like he's hanging on a clothesline. This is Francis Henry. This is my uncle and Donnie Henry's uncle. Let's see if we can get her in a little closer. That is Francis Henry when he was single. Francis Henry, this was my Uncle Francis, Scotchy's father, and two of his cronies when he was in World War I. That was Francis Henry in World War I. Picture of Francis Henry in World War I in his uniform. Of course, you know, you don't know where it was taken. That's Francis Henry. Picture taken during World War I. A picture of my Uncle Francis Henry, Scotchy's father. I guess World War I pictures. See if we can bring them in a little closer. I'll move it around. I do a lot of jumping around when I do this. I guess that's about as close as we can get. That's Scotchy's father, World War I. Picture a little later of Scotchy's mother and father, Francis and Pearl, my Aunt Pearl and my Uncle Francis. And it looks like they've been married for a while. That's my Uncle Francis and my Aunt Pearl. And as about the date, I haven't the slightest idea. Oh, it's a poor photo, so it doesn't come out very good. This is Scotchy's uncle, Tom Henry. Tom Henry is Don Henry's father, and was, of course, Scotchy's father's brother. Now, in the background, she doesn't show up too good as Eileen. But and off to the right is my Uncle Francis, or Scotchy's father with his suspenders, Francis Henry. Now in the background, this was taken over in Shoresville, where Scotchy's grandmother and grandfather lived, right next to the New York Central Railroad Bridge. You can see the bridge abutment in the background. So that is Uncle Francis bending over, Tom Henry, Don's father, and Eileen to the left in the background. Of Scotchy's grandmother, Grandmother Henry. That's John Henry's wife. His grandfather was John Henry, and this is his wife. And of course it is a younger picture, and I don't remember ever seeing her, but this is Francis Henry's mother, and probably taken in Shoresville. The picture in the middle is John Henry, which was Scotchy's grandfather. And next to him on the left is Ella Henry, or Ella McIntyre. Now this was Francis and Tom Henry's sister. And off to the right is a Mrs. Kearns. Now she would be John Henry's brother, the sister, about his sister. So from left to right is Ella Henry McIntyre, John Henry, and Mrs. Kearns. The picture taken over at John Henry's home in Shoresville with the bridge abutment in the background. Now we'll see if we can maybe get these people in a little so you can kind of tell who they were. We'll kind of move off to the side, I guess. Maybe we can, maybe we can't. Now on the far left is John Henry, everyone's grandfather. And next to him is Dusty Rhodes. And then next to her is Dusty Rhodes' wife, Babe. She was originally Babe Kearns, I guess. Now just behind her is Donnie's father, Tom Henry, and of course Francis Henry's brother. Now next to Tom Henry is his mother and Scotchy's grandmother, Grandma Henry. Now right behind Grandma Henry, and it's awful dark, is Ella McIntyre, and Tricky Mickey back there, but it's so dark you can't quite pick them out. Now in front of Tricky Mickey is Mrs. Kearns. And then of course comes my Aunt Pearl. My Aunt Pearl and my Uncle Francis, Scotchy's mother and father. Francis is a Delia Narson. That one, I don't know who that's supposed to be. Now we drop down to the first row. Is Tricky Mickey's son, Jackie McIntyre. And then next to Jackie McIntyre is Eileen Henry, who is now Eileen Minute. And then the next one is Joe McIntyre. He is sure a lot smaller there than he is today. And then next to Joe McIntyre is Mary Jane Rhodes. That's Dusty Rhodes' daughter. And then, of course, on the far left is Marion Fish Henry. That's Don Henry's wife, Marion. Now, this whole group the whole back row, of course, are long gone. And Jackie McIntyre down on the far right is gone. The four others are the only ones left. So this is a family portrait taken over in John Henry yard. Now this is a picture of Fran Henry Zimmerman, taken a few years ago. But this is Fran Henry Zimmerman. We have a picture of Eileen Henry Minute, who is now married to Jim Minute. This is Eileen Henry Minute. Get it any clearer, but I had to sneak in a picture of Patty Henry with her beautiful trousers. And next to her is Jane and Scotchy, her mother and father. Of course, I will admit she doesn't look like that today. Her hair is a little shorter, and she might have gained a couple of pounds. Oh, she loved to hear me say that. Well, going through Scotchy's photos today, I come across this one and I wanted to add it because I wanted to have a picture of it. Now, from left to right is Scotchy Clyde Henry, and then Edward Ted O'Donnell. Setting up on the pony is Harry Huxley, and next to Harry in the back is Sonny Cale, and then in front of them is Bill Mo Sagbers. I don't know how close I can get to these fellas, but here in the front is Bill Sagbers, and Sonny Cale's behind him, and then comes Harry Huxley, and then comes Ted O'Donnell in the back, and up front is Scotchy. All of them lived on State Street. Sonny Cale lived across the street from my grandmother. Ted O'Donnell lived up the street. So did Harry. Bill Sagbers lived down on top of the hill across from Johnny Borden. That's the boys on State Street. Now in 1937, in Marie Galbraith's class, up on the far left are two people that you might recognize. Marilyn McDonald and Jane McNally. This is in 1937. 1938, on the left is our Jane McNally Henry. Next to her is Willie Griffin, and right behind him is Marilyn McDonald. So that's Jane Henry in 1938. 41, the year I graduated. Sitting in the middle is John Clyde Henry. In 1941, John Clyde Henry. In 1941, in the top row hiding up there, of course, is Jane Henry and Marilyn McDonald. This picture was taken in 1941. Marilyn in the middle, on the right of her is Jane Henry. This is a picture of the commercial club. And of course, who would be standing together in the top row but Marilyn and Jane? Marilyn and Jane in the top row, and this is the commercial club in 1941. 1941, starting from the left, of course, is Scotchy, Doc Elliott, Bill Segbers, and the coach Gershback. This was the high school basketball team of that year.